Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I really appreciate you checking it out. Do me a favor real quick, if you like music production stuff, demos, studio sessions, reviews, or my own music for that matter, or any of it, or just want to hear me talk, I don't know, whatever. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Leave a comment below what you want to see on this channel, and I'll do my best to try to make more of that content. So I've been in search for a while for a new set of studio monitors. Probably a good 6 months. I've started my search, and over the last few months really been trying to hone it down, reading every review in the world. I try to go listen to different stuff, but there's really, in my area, there's not a lot of great places to listen. Like when you go into a store and you listen to studio monitors, you're hearing it in that environment. You're hearing it like right next to other speakers, which in theory is a good thing, but that most of the time those rooms are not set up like a studio, right? You have speaker after speaker like butted up right next to each other oftentimes. If you've gone to a Guitar Center, you've seen that a lot. But just in general, like either they don't have a huge selection, or I find that at least in my area, most of places that have studio monitors, they're on the entry level, maybe lower mid tier. Like you'll see monitors maybe go up to like $500 to $700, like maybe $700 a speaker. In most places, it's pretty rare to find studio monitor speakers that you can demo that are above that price point. And there's some great speakers in that price point. You're looking, like ones I was considering for a while was some Adams A7Xs. I believe those are around $700 per speaker, something like that. And I've listened to those, so I'm familiar with those. I've heard them in several environments. I do like those. I think they have a lot of positives to them. At least to my ear, and what I might want out of them. They're kind of aggressive. Those are like a very aggressive speaker in that 2-3K range with those ribbon tweeters. They can be kind of aggressive in a way. Like for me, oftentimes, at least in most of my mixing environments or home studios, a lot of the speakers I've used, kind of that area is a little too smooth for me. So that was a serious consideration for a while for me, was the A7Xs. And as I kept looking and reading reviews, I was like, I kind of decided I didn't want to just make an incremental upgrade. I wanted something that was significantly better, wasn't just pretty or sound great. I wanted something that would tell me the truth. I wanted it to be brutally honest with me. I wanted to be able to hear details that I wasn't hearing in my other sets of monitors. So over the last, let me go over backtrack just a little bit. There was, I've had quite a few sets of monitors over the last, I've been mixing for 20 years now. I've listened to JBL, like mid-range JBLs, even higher range JBLs. I never really liked the JBL sound. They didn't feel like they were telling me the truth, and they just didn't. And the higher end ones I kind of had access to earlier in my career, so also I might not have appreciated them at that point as well, and maybe I would like a pair now, or at least more than I did back then. I have a pair of Behringer Truths, which actually, and these are I have the passive ones, and I'm running them off of a cheap, like, what is it? Some no-name amp. It's like it's basically like an amp you'd run in like a nightclub kind of thing or whatever. But it actually, I really do like these Behringer Truths with that amp. I'm not sure if it's the amp giving them the character that I like, or if it's just the speakers, or a combination of both. I do like them. I don't think personally that combination for me, I think has been the best bang for buck I've ever heard. Because the Behringer Truths are cheap. You know what I mean? These are the 8-inch woofers. I got them used maybe like 10 years ago. So they're kind of an older pair. They might be close to 15 years old or so. And they're great. I love them. I've mixed on a range of whole bunch of different rocket monitors over the years, the KRK series. And those are great. I feel like they're just a little too hypey for me. They definitely require a lot of like car checks. And I have a pair of M Audio BX5As, those cheap monitors that you find like in Guitar Center to demo some of their gear. And those are fine. I actually have them up behind me right now. They're not plugged in, but those will be used. I'm gonna test them when I get my Atmos set up. So I kind of have them set up there for now until I'm gonna test them out and see if I can get them where I want them. But anyway, and then I also have a pair of Cali Audio LP8s. For money, they're great. I do find that they don't tell me enough detail, especially in that 2K range, give or take, a little bit there. I'm constantly like, it's easy for me to not hear, and this could just be my room, but I'm feeling maybe a little less like that now, especially after getting these Barefoots. But I feel like with those Calis, as far as bang for buck, if you're on a budget, they are a great sounding monitor. They're pretty active. They're good enough to get you going. You know what I mean? They're good enough. You can mix great songs on them. And I would say definitely treat your room and maybe even run some sonar works on them would probably help a great deal. And I tried playing with the EQ, like trying to EQ some of that back end and trying to but they just kind of were too smooth sounding for me like certain frequencies just blurred together too much on them. But I'm not taking away that especially bang for buck, good. I've listened to the three-way version of these. I did not like them personally, and it might have been the environment I heard them in, but where I heard them, I did not like them at all. They sounded really harsh to me, at least in that environment, and not in a good way. They just kind of something sounded off. I just felt like something was off. Again, it could be the room. I could have been hearing weird phase issues. I don't know. I should probably give them another try just to clear the air on them. But anyway, so that's kind of some of the pairs. Like I've mixed on some Yamahas, like some some of the mid-range Yamahas out there. And I've listened to some Focals, which I like. Focals were a serious consideration for me. I almost bought the Focal Focal shaped twins. Sorry. So 2 speakers on top of them, the tweeter in the top and bottom, and the tweeter in the middle. Those I haven't heard those. They looked really nice. The reviews on them were amazing. So now getting closer back to this point, I was going through. There was probably 3 or 4 brands I was seriously considering. The Focals, those twins, and I also didn't want to spend probably more than about $3,000 on a pair. So that was kind of where my point was. Maybe I considered $4,000. I could have swung $4,000. But I'm happy. The only reason I would have swung $4,000, I'll get to that in a second. I'll explain why. So the Focals I was considering. I was also considering the Dyne Audio PYN 48s, I think they're called. I believe they're like what are they? I think they're about $2,500 a pair, somewhere around that range, give or take a little bit. I'm trying to remember, but I was seriously considering those, and then some Neumanns, the 3-way Neumanns. I don't remember the model number on those, but there's some Neumanns about that price point as well I was looking at. on Sweetwater, as well as other places. And then was there any other ones? No. And then these. And Barefoot's I've known of Barefoot for a while, like quite a few years, but never really like they're not talked about a lot. And you don't see them in a lot of like advertisement. You don't see them in like magazines where you gear shop. Like Sweetwater doesn't have them. Zounds does. Most of the places don't have them, except for Vintage King. I haven't bought anything directly from Vintage King, but I hear they're a great company. So every once in a while, I'll go to their website and I'll check out stuff because they tend to. Vintage King sometimes has things that you can't find anywhere else. That's the case with these. So as I was looking at them, I was considering buying from Vintage King, and I was probably going to, but I was Googling and doing just researching, and I was like, "Oh, these Barefoots," and then I noticed that Barefoot came out with the Footprint 01s a couple years ago, and then I noticed they also came recently, maybe a year ago, I think now, they came out with the Barefoot 02s, which these are. And I was seriously, and this is where that $4,000 price point came in, was the Barefoot 01s. I've been used to mixing for a while now on 8-inch speakers, 8-inch woofers. So, and I've been used to the general bass response I've gotten out of front-facing single 8-inch woofers. And when I was looking at the Footprint series, the 01s and the 02s. So the 01s are $4,000 for a pair new, and then the 02s, these are 6.5-inch woofers on the sides, are 6.5, and they're $3,000. And reading the reviews that I could find, and there isn't that many videos out there, so I felt like I just kept looking and looking, and there just wasn't a ton of information, but I also knew the reputation of Barefoot, and I also knew that like people that had them loved them, and obviously they have their upper line speakers. I mean, they have a pair. They're big boy mains. I can't remember the name of them, but they're big ones. They're like $60,000 for a pair, and I'm just like, oh, I would love to hear them, and I've heard great reviews about those, and also the Micro Main 26s and the 27s. I think they're called Micro Mains, and they're more vertical than these. I mean, these are pretty vertical, but and they have a very unique design. But the Micro Main 26s or the 27s first, and then the newer ones are the 26s because they've added another mid-range cone. And those are kind of probably their most popular ones, I think. And you see them in a lot of like famous, like you see them in famous producers' studios, and I was like, okay. So I'm just kind of, part of it's like a little bit of paid advertisement, obviously, but there has to be something to these speakers. And I was reading, and I couldn't find a bad review about these speakers. I think out of every review I saw online, I think I only saw one 4-star. Everything else was 5-star. That they're amazing. Blow your mind away as far as these speakers, these Barefoot 02s. I mean, I was looking at reviews at some of their like the Barefoot 01s and some of the higher ones, just to get a sense of like what people think of the company, the speaker lot, the speaker company in general, what they thought about it, and I just could not find bad reviews. Like, either this company is amazing at wiping away those reviews, which I don't think is the case at all, or they're damn good. Like, and you can find lots of reviews on like PMCs and ATCs, and most of those are great, but you can find some people that didn't like that. They were ultra picky and didn't like this or that, and I'm sure as these get more and more popular, because this company is still small, you'll find some people that may not like them. But I could not find anybody who was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling these speakers, which is pretty normal, I think, within the professional studio speaker monitor world, where some people just don't click with a speaker, right? You find they might be a great speaker, but sometimes people just don't like the way something sounds, or what it, it just doesn't feel right for them, or it doesn't work for their environment. And so when I was looking at these, I was concerned that the 6.5-inch cones, so they have dual woofers on the sides. I'll put up some pictures of just some stock pictures of what they look like. But there's dual woofers on the sides, and they're connected in the middle, and they fire with each other. So, and they're I think there's like DSP involved, or I could be wrong on that part of it, but they're basically in sync with each other. How that's achieved specifically, I can't remember. I know I've watched some talks on it, but I know that there is DSP on these, and they use that with their quote unquote meme technology, MEME, which is, I forget what it stands for off the top of my head, but it doesn't mean meme as in the joke, but like it's a different technology. And that allows you to switch speaker, like your DSP for what kind of speaker. So they model other speakers like an NS10, and they call that the old school. Then they have a model for a cube speaker, and then they have the flat response, which is how these are designed to be listened to. Like to the flat response is the truth telling. Like I'm telling you, like you hear stuff through that and you're like, oh, I did not, like I've listened to songs on these that I know super well, like mainstream songs or my own stuff. And especially if I'm listening, like what blew me away is listening to some like mainstream, well-known songs. Like I was listening to some Dr. Dre songs. And I was hearing things out of these speakers I've never heard before in those songs. And I've listened to those songs on countless, just all kinds of stuff in my car, tons of times. Like I have a nice system in my car. Like I have I spent over $10,000 on upgrading my car stereo system, and it's not overly bass heavy in my car. It's well balanced. It has subs, but all the speakers been upgraded, amps up, like everything, right? So it sounds really good, and I can get really. I trust my car. I can go out to my car and I know what stuff's supposed to sound like. And it just, I'm good, right? But these, hearing stuff that I couldn't even hear in my car, couldn't hear in anything else I've listened to, other people's systems, and I was like, where'd that sound come from? I was hearing things, it was just blowing my mind. And then I was listening to my own mixes. I'm like, oh my God, I realized that I was hearing stuff I'd never heard when I was recording stuff or mixing. And going if I would have heard that, that wouldn't have gone through. I would have fixed that, and so on the flat response, it's like telling you the truth. It's like that. It's like your health coach, your physical trainer going, put that Twinkie down. You're looking a little fat today. That's literally what this is going on. It's not playing games with you. It's telling you the truth. And it's just beautiful. And I'm so impressed with how tight the bass is on these. The bass, it's not over drowning, but it's punchy. It's clear. It extends really low. I think the official thing is 40 or 42 hertz, but I was measuring significant signal even in the mid 30s, around 35, 36. It goes low on some sixes. 2 6.5-inch cones. Impressive. The highs, the mids and the highs, you get and it goes super high. I think these go, I could be wrong, I'm trying to remember, I think it's 35 or 45K. Yeah, I have to double check. I'll double check and put a correction here if I need to. But it goes super high, obviously well above your hearing. But I think that's designed for frequency response. The tweeters are amazing. The mid range is amazing. The clarity in these speakers is unbelievable, especially for the price point. I don't think there is a $3,000 set of speakers that can touch these in clarity. Could be wrong, and that also might be a subjective thing, but these speakers are absolutely unbelievable. So the reason I went with these, well, first I was concerned about I should get the eights, but I was seeing a lot of reviews going like people tell it in the thing like unless you don't need the eights. Like, I mean, the eights are great, but you don't need them. Like, and for depending on how big your room is, it might be too much, right? If you're depending on your living situation, maybe you have like you're living in apartments or something. You got neighbor like these things will go loud. They'll go well over. I mean, I had them over 100 decibels. I don't normally mix. I don't even mix 85. I mix probably around most of the time the 75 dB range most of the time. I think 75, maybe 78 is usually as. I mean, occasionally I'll turn it up above that for a little bit just to kind of hear it dynamically a little different. But generally I'm in the 70s or less. I know a lot of people like to mix 85, or they say that's the sweet spot. And sometimes I'll turn it up there, but these, they get there. They'll get there. So if you're worried about volume, these will get there. I'm in a pretty big room. My studio is literally in my living room, and it's pretty. I would say it's like probably 2 times the average bedroom, probably or 1.5, like a good sized master bedroom. Like, it's a good size. Plus, I have like some space kind of set out in the hall that's part of like kind of the hallway, and then I got an area that kind of opens up behind it, and the kitchen is literally behind that. So it's maybe not it's definitely not the ideal mixing environment, but it's not bad. I do have some, and I've controlled some of the acoustics, and we're always trying to make it better. But these speakers, I mean, they just blow me away. They honestly blow me away with how amazing they are. And where I live is up near Portland, Oregon. And the reason I say that is because Barefoot is based out of Portland, Oregon now. They moved up here a few years ago from California. And so I was Googling them, and I found, and I was like, oh, they're in Portland? Like, that's crazy. And I emailed them, and through a few like email exchanges and was able to pick up a pair from them. I got lucky, super lucky picking these up, because there's actually a waiting list on all of their speakers. They're in demand. I know Vintage King has some in stock, so if you're still looking for some, Vintage King has a bunch of Barefoot speakers in stock. I don't know how big their supply is there, but I think they have pretty much most if not all of their speakers in stock there. But yeah, they had an open box they were using for demos a little bit, and they're like, oh, there's some scratches or whatever, and I looked, I couldn't find any scratches. So if there's scratches, they're like they using a magnifying glass to check them. I don't know. I mean, that's cool. It means their quality assurance to me is like their quality is they're making sure their stuff is good when it goes out the door. And I do know that all of their speakers are hand built by a person. There's no machines aren't assembling these things. So they're hand built. I know for a fact they're hand built and one by one hand tested and tuned. That's incredible. I don't know if that's the case for some of these bigger brands like PMC and ATC and etc. But these speakers, mind blowing. So I got a little bit of a discount on them. They didn't give them to me for free. I got open box discount, so it was just a few $100 off. Love it. I was able to go down there to the warehouse and schedule a time to come go pick them up. They were super nice, super helpful. I absolutely endorse these speakers 110%. Like, I can't give it enough praise. Like, once I turned them on and started listening to them, I literally called pretty much every person that I know that was available there, that's in making music, that makes music, that mixes music, that produces music, all that stuff, and said, come over and listen to these. Come over and listen to these. And every person that's come over and listened to them was mad at me because they want a pair. They're like, I hate you. I don't know how I'm going to go back to whatever speaker they were using. So I honestly feel like I'm probably going to be a Barefoot customer the rest of my life. Like, these things are absolutely amazing. I can't give them enough praise. And I've been slowly setting up an Atmos because I want to start mixing in Atmos, as in that's the future of music production as far as listening experience, like, because Atmos is scalable and much more robust format for many reasons. We won't get into that today, but I've been building an Atmos setup slowly. And I'm almost there. I'm not too far off from being able to start actually mixing an Atmos or start testing some of the waters in it. But now I want Barefoots all around. Problem is, for most people, even me right at the moment, that might be slightly, like, I'll slowly start switching over speakers, but I need to get going first. But just like, I want to do it Atmos thing. And these things, they sound amazing. And so I can't wait to one day have a full Atmos room in Barefoot speakers. It's definitely a goal of mine. The bass, everything about these speakers is mind blowing. Like, for something to fit in this size of a speaker, like, they're not huge. These are actually a little bit smaller than both of my Behringer Behringer Truth speakers and my Cali Audio LP8s. They're actually a little bit smaller. At least they might be. I think they're a little bit deeper. But, and also another thing to note on these is they're sealed cabinets, so there's no porting. One thing I forgot to mention, also on that meme technology, that switch, and let's see, this guy right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it also has a hi-fi setting as well, a fourth setting, which basically it sounds like they just kind of boost, more or less taking the truth, boosting the highs and the lows a little bit, kind of giving that smiley face EQ to it. There might be a little bit more to it than that, but I mean, generally speaking, that's a good way to describe it, I guess. And so that's kind of cool to add a little excitement to the listening experience, because like I said, these speakers are not about, like, I didn't want a speaker that was too pretty sounding. I wanted something that told me the truth right from the get-go, and so this adds a little more, like, okay, we can add a little, like, if you're having like a listening party or you just want to listen to music, or your friends are over, like when my girlfriend comes over and she just wants to listen to music, I'll often just throw it up on that hi-fi setting. Sometimes she throws it the truth because she wants to hear the truth. She's all about kind of learning about all this stuff, so it's pretty exciting. But it has that too. So if you want to just add a little excitement to it, and these just sound incredible, honestly. I can't praise them enough. I'm not sponsored. They're not paying me for this video. They didn't give me the speakers. I got an open box. Okay, sorry about that. Battery died on the camera, and I may have chopped it somewhere there. I don't know. Either way, I love these speakers. Do me a favor. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment below. Have you used these Barefoot speakers? Have you used any Barefoot speakers? Have you heard Barefoot speakers? I'd love to know. Also, just let me know what you think, or if you're even in the market for new speakers. These are $3,000 new, and you can get them at Vintage King. I'll leave a description down below for them. I don't get any commission on them. I just think they're absolutely amazing, and I think more people should be talking about these speakers, or just Barefoot speakers in general. I would love to hear some of their higher end speakers, but if they're anything like these, just more expensive and better, I mean, you get what you pay for, right? I would love to hear them. I mean, I can only imagine what their top of the line speaker sounds like, I'd be very happy to hear a pair. Anyway, so yeah, just like and subscribe. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching my long-winded explanation of these speakers and kind of my background on speakers in general. I hope you liked the video. Thank you. Peace.